listening to Dirty Change with Rosie Tran and Tommy Pistol. Tommy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm really excited about our very, very special guest who's a Playboy playmate, actress, comedian, Instagram model. Irina, how are you?
I'm good.
What do you not do? There's like 9,000.
It was funny actually. I posted a thing on. I also do like a live streamed cooking show from my house. That people can subscribe to on Facebook. And this one guy was like, well, you're doing this and you're a comedian and you're a model and you're like, what haven't you tried? I see the lack of commitment. And I'm like,
gosh,
yeah.
harsh.
Way to go on Men's Day,
I don't
you dick.
try. Yeah, I
Fucking
do
crap.
all of those things professionally. But I guess people don't realize that I already had like a 20-year modeling career and like 15-year acting career.
I think people, it's the assumption from what I've seen, people like, if you do more than one thing, it's like,
how dare you?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? But it is kind of like that in mainstream, isn't it? It's like, if you start out as a PA and you're like, I got an amazing script, people are like, yeah, okay, good. All right, can you move that now?
I'm surprised at how close-minded people are with that. It's so true. It's like if you try something, if you go out of your lane, right? People get very upset about that. It's just crazy. It's like when I first started doing comedy, like, oh, you're going to do comedy? I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very judgmental. I think especially for us girls and pretty girls especially, there is a lot of that like, we just want to see your tits. You know?
It all comes down to boobs.
Like, I liked you so much more when you weren't talking.
You're like, thanks.
But like really, messes up the mojo of jerking off to a picture. I don't know. Never.
And then you talking, you're smart. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's like, you just saved that guy from choking, but show us your tits. What? It sucks.
I want to talk about how you started. So you started as a Playboy playmate. Is that true? Are you Russian, Ukrainian? I don't want to mess it up.
You're like, this is so sensitive. Like right now, it's fucking 2019, almost 20. We have to get this right because I don't want to offend Russian people or Ukrainian people. No. Actually, the weird thing is
sensitive subject
that I'm half Russian and half Ukrainian.
Okay.
Woo! I know.
I got it right.
Where's she going? She left. What'd you say?
I don't usually talk about it. So I don't know. Are you a spy? No, but I'm from Russia and I started modeling when I was younger, like 18, 19 years old. And I modeled in Europe before I came to the United States. And then once I came here, I met a person who wanted to take me to Playboy Studios.
Were you scared?
No, like modeling and just living in Europe, like you're very comfortable with your body.
We talked about that last episode about how open they are in Europe and how uptight people are in the States.
We just fuck it up. I don't know. It's like we're number one, but we just
cover up right now.
Fuck the table.
No, I'm trying to write
everything
actually a joke right now. Like I'm writing a joke right now that when I moved to Los Angeles, like I had to make so many changes in my life because I couldn't smoke in public and I couldn't walk around with my beer and I couldn't sunbathe topless. And these were three of my favorite
America,
things.
what is going on here? Why are we not allowing women to sunbathe topless?
Is it legal in all states yet to be topless? Because I know New York passed the thing.
I did.
And
I
like
think
Bonnie Rotten went there and Pornhub or somebody, they did a whole thing where she's like, I'm walking around topless. And I was like, that's insane.
So it is legal now in some places.
I think in a couple states. Yes, I read that too, but not California yet. I don't think so.
How?
I know.
Like we're the most first. No, but think about it. California,
Dropping the
America
ball.
is the number one country for boob jobs per citizen.
Don't you want to show off what you're paying for?
Like that's just
You
selfish,
think in
right?
California they'd be like, done, signed, like legal, go topless. Like,
Or at least like, I don't know, west of the 405 and or how do you say, like the Canoga Park situation? I don't know. Just a thought.
So you had a big culture shock actually coming here.
Oh yeah, I lived in Europe, and not only like nudity wasn't really a big deal because as a model, like sometimes you wear like skimpy things on the runway, like sometimes you pose for magazines like Italian Max, like it's sexy fashion.
You don't feel that it's derogatory. You feel like it's empowering, right?
Yeah.
Like you never felt like it was
absolutely.
demeaning being nude.
Oh, absolutely not. I
Yeah.
felt like I always thought I looked better naked than with clothes on. Clothes were just like messing up my curves.
We're not going to
and
argue.
cutting. But that was my, mental state. And then when I moved here, and I moved here when my Playboy issue came out, and I started telling people that I wasn't Playboy, then people the reactions were really weird.
So this is the kind of stuff we want to talk about on the podcast
Yeah.
because we want to educate people. And definitely there's a stigma that doesn't need to be there around bodies. So what was your reaction that you felt like was like, okay, this is so not cool?
It was weird. Like, I was very proud of the fact that I became a Playboy
And
Playmate.
you should be. That's a huge like honor.
But also, like, I wasn't like throwing it in people's faces. But at the same time, I remember I booked my very first TV commercial here in America, and everybody was like, well, how long you've been in America? And I'm like, 3 weeks, I came here when my Playboy magazine came out. And everybody was like dead silent. And then a PA came up to me. He's like, okay, you can't tell this to anyone because the client is here and the ad agency is here. And we all can get fired for hiring you.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. Okay.
That's awful.
So they're like, just don't advertise. Just
wait. Why were they saying that they could get fired for hiring you?
Why the PA say? Here's your drink and
somebody-
whoa. What?
wow.
Excuse
If anyone,
me,
the PA would be like, yeah.
Somebody was delivering this message that apparently came from the top.
The higher ups.
But on the last day of shoot, because the magazines were still on the newsstand, they delivered about 100 of my magazines to sign to everyone in the crew.
So they were okay with it.
They were okay with it, but like I couldn't talk about it. But yeah.
Okay, this is like the sex world in America to a T. It makes no sense. We're hypocrites.
We suck.
We suck.
It's so
I'm sorry,
fucking
America. What
stupid.
happened? Europe, we love you.
Sign this, but don't open it. But sign
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Don't be naked, but we're gonna see it this way.
Yeah. I don't see your tits here. But
No,
this
but-
is okay.
Yeah. Guys, help me. I'm writing this joke. So basically, like, about being topless. Like, I can never understand, like, why. And then I was like, okay, I get it. Like, these cigarettes and the alcohol is definitely a health concern because you guys have a very shitty health insurance situation. But,
the shittiest. It comes out as the shittiest.
but like, why I can't go topless? And
Because America is a Puritan country. We're based on Puritan values. I don't know how this happened, but it doesn't reflect the current state of the country. I mean, would you
No.
say, even in the Midwest and the South, I don't think people follow these Puritan values, but it's so ingrained in our culture and our society that there's a lot of stigma. And that's what we're trying to do with the podcast is break that stigma and taboo because your body, I'm sure, I've never seen you naked, is beautiful.
oh, we got some Googling to do. I mean, you're probably the only person who, I mean,
Wait. You haven't seen
know,
my
the thing
body?
is, it's
Give me
like-
your phone.
okay, so after I came here, I was like, I was kind of like taking it back. I stopped telling people that I was in Playboy. I was trying to like just until they find out themselves or whatever. Like I cut my hair short. Like I just didn't want to be that person.
You know what? That is very annoying, and that's something that's annoying in stand-up. Because you're a comedian, I'm a comedian. For so many years as a comedian, I would wear hoodies, I wouldn't wear makeup, I was dressed down because I wanted to be taken seriously and people consider me funny and not cute. And that's ridiculous.
Same here.
But there's such a negative stereotype. And sometimes, unfortunately, ladies, it comes from you guys. I remember doing a show. I had a low-cut top. I was like really cute dressed up. I was like 22 or something at the time. The entire front row was women. I'm like, oh, this is great. They'll love all my jokes. It's women. As soon as they were laughing at every guy comedian, as soon as I walked up there with a low cut and I was like wearing really tight jeans, arms crossed, like it before I even opened my mouth. That's how I knew it was judgment. Arms crossed, frowning. I'm like, ladies,
I'm on your side. I have a vagina. Please.
It's gotten a lot better, I think, in the past few years, but it's just crazy.
Yeah,
It's
it is like that,
bananas.
for
Yeah.
sure. I did a taping for Laugh After Dark season 2. I mean, humble brag. It's on Amazon. Whatever.
humble brag.
Yeah. But my co-host for my show Comedy Stew, Sabra, she also recorded it with me, and she said it was really funny. There was a row of 4 women, and they were laughing at everything. And once you started doing Playboy jokes, they stopped laughing, and I lost them for the rest of the set.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. It's like the thing that irritates me as a woman is that I'm a feminist, and I feel like we should support other women. And sometimes that negativity and that stigma and that judgment comes harsher from other women
For sure.
than guys.
For sure.
Like, you guys are like, ooh.
Yeah.
Guys are.
Guys can be jerks. Guys can be jerks.
They can be-
I'm not saying they can't be.
But they're so condescending. It's just like, oh, look at you, you slut. And then if they get you in a corner, it's like, so what are you doing, lady? You know, and you're like, you just fucking insulted me, you jerk. Like,
okay, so are we
It's-
just saying that all people suck? Is that what's
No.
happening?
I mean, there's
a
some.
lot. So fucking many.
It's like, I'm not trying to steal your man. I'm
I
happily
think
married.
a lot of women feel that. Like there's this competition.
Like, it's not.
They feel like there's a competition.
Yeah. When I shot for Kink.com, we went to Berlin to shoot, and we were shooting like sex scenes pretty much out in public. And
Like on the street?
like on the street, we had like people like warning people saying like, hey, they're shooting like adult stuff up ahead. If you don't want to see it, like they'll radio up ahead and we'll cover up and
I
everything.
love the miming, the improv.
Yeah.
So you had a
It's, uh,
PA?
a radio.
Did you have a PA who told you not to get naked?
No, the PA was like, you got to get naked now. I was like, oh, okay. But there's so many people. Like, well, hurry up. But it was a trip. It was a trip because we were shooting sex scenes in like train stations, in front of like monuments and everything. And even when the cops approached, like kind of who was like our like safety guard who would like kind of cut them off while we like jumped in a van. They were like, oh, they're just doing a art show school project.
Should we move
blah,
to
blah,
Germany
blah.
and do the podcast in Germany?
Well, we could get away with a lot more there, obviously.
No, but it's so like non-judgmental. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying.
The sexuality
Yeah,
aspect
nobody
of it.
like teamed up on us and they were like protesting or throwing things at us. Nobody really cared. If people caught on to what we were doing, they would look, maybe take a picture. And then they went on with their day. They're like, oh, naked people. All right, but I came here to see a monument. So I'm going to, you know, we kind of paid a lot. Yeah.
Whammy.
Wow, what a score. But it was a trip to do that and to not be like
I
chased
feel like
away or
if
thrown in
you-
jail.
If you were naked on any street in America, I feel like there would be mass chaos.
I would get probably tasered and pepper sprayed and all that. It was crazy to see that, to be out in public and just whatever, and nobody yelling at you.
Didn't we talk about societies that are more sexually open having less violence?
Yeah.
We have a lot of gun shootings, so maybe Congress and the government, let's pass some more pro-nudity.
Honestly.
Please help me with my jokes. I'm trying to make a point.
I mean,
Yeah,
like, how
yeah.
can I write this bit?
Okay. Yeah, by the way, you guys, if you're watching and if you have a punch up or suggestion for constructing this joke, so how I want to put it, I was like, so I asked my friend, why can't you go topless on the beach? And he's like, well, because there's families with small children. And I'm like, poor fucking children. They've never seen a boob in their life. So now I want to make connections. So if you weren't breastfed, you know, and if your mother was depriving you of boobs, you know, maybe now you are, I don't know, taking the laws that prohibit women from going topless on the beach or whatever. Like maybe you're now anti-boob.
You're like projecting, right?
Yeah, you were like deprived of boobs your entire life
Okay,
since
I will think on a punchline and hopefully get one to you at the end of the podcast. We'll see.
Please.
Speaking of taking fan questions, you had a couple of fans message you questions.
Yeah, last week we put it out there for fans to send some questions.
Did you
and,
want to answer a couple of the questions?
A few I can answer, and one, the one that I always get because I'm not quiet about it, but a lot of people know that I'm also a dad. I have 2 kids, so people always ask, like, how is that? How is it having kids and doing porn? And I was like, well, usually they're not home. And so that's the first start.
You're like, I'm not abusing my children.
Yeah, I'm not like, move the sea light, son.
You want to come to the set?
Yeah. Lube now. But I'm not. So that question, how have I told my kids and stuff? I haven't yet. So I'm going to avoid that question because I haven't done it yet. I'm still preparing for that one.
They're too young still.
They're too young. I know when I was young and I came across like a Playboy, like it opened a whole Pandora's box. So there is a little fear in me of like, if I'm like, hey, I do porn and everything, like, well, I want to see.
Let's wait till they're older.
Exactly. See, that's where I'm getting to.
Do you have a stage name and
Tommy
your
Pistol.
real name is different? And
Well, yeah, I have my porn name, Tommy Pistol, and then my real name. So
and do you kids know the other name, or
they know the other name only because
they
when
know Dad.
Yeah.
He's Dad.
Well, I did a movie in 2011, wrote, directed, and starred in, called The Gruesome Death of Tommy Pistol, because at the point, I wasn't sure where I was going with my career, so I kind of wrote and did this horror film where I was kind of killing off the character.
But it's not. It's not X-rated.
It's not
just
X-rated.
a horror film.
It's a horror.
it's a normal
film.
film? Okay.
And I have the poster in my living room because that's the only movie I ever made that was mainstream. So there was a day where my son was like, "Oh, I researched Tommy Pistol," or he didn't say gruesome death. So I was like. Picking him up from school, and like I was just like, "What?" And he's like, "What do you mean you searched me?" And he's like, "Oh, I looked up Aramis Sartorio. That's my real name, and I saw stuff on your movie." And I was like, "And?" And he was like, "Well, that was it." I was like, "All right."
He's like, "Why are you so tense right now,
Why-
Dad?"
I never saw you sweat so fast, and I was like. I will talk to you about
What did you hear? What did you look
yeah.
up? Yeah.
Because I was instantly like, oh my God, what'd you see?
you're
And he
like,
was like, I just saw stuff about your movie, your horror film. And I was like, okay. And I was like,
All of a sudden your voice is like pre-puberty. You're like, okay.
you gotta trust Dad when I say, don't look me up anymore. And he was like, okay. And I was like, I will tell you when. But as of right now, just promise me you won't do that. And he was like, sure.
What a good boy. I feel like anytime my parents told me don't do something, I'm like, I'm going to do this as soon as you leave a room.
For all I know, he does know, and he's just such a kind child. And he's like, I'll wait for him to tell me. But so that's one question I always get asked. And when I reach that point in my life, I will talk about it. But the other question a lot of people ask me is, how is it being in a relationship with somebody who's not in the pornography, in that world, that industry? And so my answer to that is it's really hard. Like all relationships, they're not easy. But this is a job that I'm working anywhere from 15 to 18 days out of the month. So I am exhausted a lot. My body hurts. I get sore from friction and all this stuff. And it has taken it's not easy. It takes a toll on your relationship because a lot of guys might be like, oh, that's bullshit. You have sex for a living and now you can have sex at home. Like it's almost kind of made me not want to be touched at times. Like, because when
you think of work.
Yeah, because it feels like I'm being, like I'm demanded. Like now I'm on call. Now I got to have sex and I got to satisfy you. Right. And that, there's something in my brain at times where it's like, I don't want any,
like,
I don't want to show
rest.
affection. I just,
like, I
don't
rest.
want to do anything where I feel like I have to perform. And that really sucks. And that's my experience from doing this job for so long. And it if anything, it's made me more conscious of myself and my partner and how to do certain things and be a better lover and more affectionate and everything, and kind of read how her body's going and things. But for me, emotionally, it really does take a toll on you. And only a lot of girls would probably admit that or talk about it. And it's being in this industry and having a relationship, even if you have somebody in the industry, it's still hard.
That would seem even harder because you guys were, yeah.
Because you really gotta become an adult and be like, this is your job. Like, and a lot of people, from what I hear, a lot of relationships don't last because nobody wants to hear when she came home or something. It's like, I just had 6 of the biggest dicks in my life. And you're like, you're ready for 6.5? Wow. It's hard. Like, being in a relationship with somebody outside of the industry definitely adds baggage to it.
I think entertainment in general is really hard. Like, does your husband get jealous when you are like get comments from fans or whatever?
I married him because he can handle it.
Okay, let me re-ask you this.
That's awesome.
Let me re-ask you this because my husband's also awesome and doesn't get jealous. Have you had boyfriends in the past that got jealous?
Every single one.
That was the question.
Boyfriends and husbands, and nobody lasted. And my husband is amazing because not only like he's never, feel uncomfortable about the fact that I posed nude and I appeared nude in films, in many films, and but he is very proud of me. He's very proud of my accomplishments, and he's just like, he never lets me down, and he never lets me feel less, and he doesn't let me like diminish myself, like just feel lesser than other people that didn't pose nude, you know. So he empowers me like every single time.
Yes,
24/7.
That's amazing. I have the same experience, but I've had boyfriends in the past that were like, I'm a comedian, I'm an actress. Oh yeah. And then it's like, well, why'd you make that joke about me? Well, why are you talking to that guy after the show? He's a fan. I'm trying to get a fan. What do you mean? Well, why are you?
I have to talk to people.
No.
So it's like you know that going in, but some people can't.
They can't. And I have friends and fans that come to the shows, and he's super comfortable. He always says hello to everyone, and he's like, well, like he wants to hang out
because he knows you're going home with him,
and he knows that you love him. And he understands.
Yeah.
But some people, even though they know, they can't. Like after a while,
And
I'm sure the same is with your industry.
And that's hard.
Been through hell.
Yeah, like I met my girlfriend. She was working as a cameraman / editor for a company.
Camera person.
Camera
woman.
And that's how I met her and everything. So in the beginning, it was good. But once we moved in and things got more serious and she got more involved with the kids, like it definitely, it started to take a toll. So like the hardest thing that I hear when I'm tired is, and this sucks to hear and to say it, but she's like, well, you have energy to fuck other people, but not me. And it's like, what do you want? Like, what do you say? It's really difficult. And all I want to do is make her happy and everything. But there's like I have a headache. I can't tonight because I'm just so tired. And there's just times where it's like, I don't want to do it. So like if I use the example of like, well, if you were like a mechanic and you came home and I was like, go fix the car, you're going to be like, go fuck yourself. Like.
I'm laughing so hard because that happens with my father-in-law. He owns a construction company. My hubby's he's sitting off to the side. And my mother-in-law was always complaining, like, why don't you want to fix stuff around the house? And he's like, I'm tired of fixing stuff.
It does. It sadly, unfortunately, it all like not all the time, but a lot of times it feels like work and that whole natural, like, I just want to come on to you and stuff. It doesn't happen as much. And that's something I got to be aware of because I know it's only fair. Like if someone's always like, hey, let's do some. And it's like, no.
I totally relate to you because it's like, I actually do relate to you because it's like being a comedian, right? People expect us to be funny if you're a comedian, right?
Tell me a joke.
Tell me a joke, right? So you
go fuck yourself.
So many people, it's like, oh, you're a comedian. And immediately there's like, oh, well, you don't seem that funny. Or, well, tell me a joke then if you're so funny. Or tell me a joke if you're a comedian. And it's like, you don't always want to be on, right?
Well, also, like, I'm personally like, I'm not a character comedian.
Mm-hmm.
It's more in the writing than it is like in who I am.
You're a heightened version of yourself a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like some people that can just go on stage and wing it because they are characters.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
You
a
write
difference.
jokes and you're
I write jokes. I work hard at them. I perform them, but it's not necessarily like it looks easy.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But that's training, and that's
Yeah.
rehearsing, and that's hours of like in the room and pacing and like talking to yourself and like, okay, that works, that doesn't work, blah blah blah. Like they don't see that. And
No.
Yeah.
well, like, and you know, a lot of people assume like when they see a porno, they're seeing the edited version. They're not seeing all the stuff that led up to that, like the talking and or checking in. Are you okay? What are you doing today? So when like there's girls that like they're doing anal, so once they do an anal scene, every scene, guys are like, you didn't do anal this time. Why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? And it's like, because I don't have to, or I'm not demanded to do this all the time. But people just assume like, well, she's filthy and she spits and does all this crazy stuff. But look at her eating. She's normal. What's wrong with her?
Porn
Daddy
stars,
issues.
They're just like everyone else. People magazine.
Nobody wants to say that. Like, it is a stigma with our industry. Whether you're modeling naked and stuff, people just assume they know you instantly, and anything else is like,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't matter. Like, but you do this, and it's like, what? What do you mean that doesn't matter? It's a wacky world.
That's definitely a good question. And guys, if you have other questions for us, you can tweet me at Funny Rosie or Tommy
At Tommy
Pistol
on Twitter.
And what was your Twitter?
Irina Voronina, my first name and last name.
Yeah.
So you can tweet, and then we'll answer questions in future episodes. And if you love Irina, then she'll come back if you could. So I was so excited. So we just launched the podcast recently, and I asked for. I just posted it. You already got several questions, and I got people tweeting that they were really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, so far everyone's asking when is it going to come out and everything, and they've been responding on Twitter, and everyone's interested. They're like,
Yes.
we're waiting to hear it. So
So you were modeling, and then you came over here, and you were just shocked by how the stigma was. Was there any other culture shock coming to the U.S. other than the sexuality?
I guess everything was a culture shock because I kind of like got used to living in Europe, and my home was in Switzerland, in the most conservative country of Europe. And I spent a fair amount of time in like Italy and Spain, and I sort of like, I learned the European way of living, and Europe is like, Switzerland is super conservative. Not in a sexual way. You can sunbathe topless. Okay.
Why can't our conservatives be like that?
Yeah, actually, like one of my first modeling jobs in Switzerland was they built a huge fitness center, and they had like beautiful spa, and there was a mixed area. We had to take pictures in the sauna topless just to show that there's like a sauna where like you can meet from both like men's and women's, and it's normal, like it's not creepy. It's just you know, it's if you choose to go mingle, or if maybe you're meeting your husband.
I see her. I have to walk over to her. No, sir, but that's my. Oh God.
So, I'm just saying, like that was like my first modeling job, and it didn't feel weird, didn't feel creepy. Like I'm advertising for whatever the biggest fitness club in the country.
It's a trip seeing how within like growing up and seeing how just people deal with nakedness and sexuality, and like growing up, like wrestling was a big thing when I was a kid, and like guys in Speedos, and sweaty, oily bodies, and guys buying magazines and stuff. They're like, this guy's amazing. Look at those muscles on him, But it's just, now I'm thinking, I was like, wow, that was so like borderline, like we were really into men, but nobody wants to say that. But you can be like, that guy's he's fucking hot. Like, I'll say it now. I don't care. Like, I admire his body. But if I was a teenager and we were like, that guy, he's a badass, and people would be like, what are you getting at? And be like, I don't know. He's just masculine. Oh wait.
What about talking about sex and stuff? Growing up in Russia, was it very restrictive? I don't know anything about Russia or Ukraine, and I've never been there, unfortunately.
Okay, so I grew up most of my childhood in the former USSR. Where it was very uptight. Well, Russian people were brought up uptight. It's more like you have to be like everyone else, like we had 2 channels on television, number 1 and number 2.
The government sponsored number 1.
Yeah. No, they're both government sponsored. No, I think there was number 3, but it was educational, and it's only on weekdays, and it's only from 8 to 5, school hours.
Oh my God.
Did you guys have sex education at all or no?
No, we did not. We had anatomy. Anatomy class,
body
biology
parts?
slash,
Yeah.
So I think in 11th grade, but it was all I think most people already been having sex, so it was more giggling and
Well, that's the same everywhere. Look at his penis.
No, I don't even think my mom was explaining me things.
So they never had the talk?
No. Condoms was not a thing you could buy, in a store. Because we didn't have...
Wow, really?
Yeah, you would have to go to pharmacy and ask for a condom. And no, condoms was not a thing at all.
Oh,
so how did
what kid's going to go do that?
Well, what about adults? How do you do birth control at that time?
Well, I don't think anybody really did birth control.
So people just had 10 kids?
Or maybe the IUDs.
Oh, okay.
That was the only thing. But yeah, it was, I don't really think birth control was a thing either.
That's crazy.
Wow.
It was more no sex for you. It was weird. I grew up with my grandparents for the most part, and I was born when they were 55, I think. And as I
Wow.
remember myself they've been sleeping separately since I remember myself.
Oh my gosh.
And they raised me from the age of 6 months to whatever, 13. Yeah. I don't think they had sex.
Did you think that's how
But people have sex. They had to have sex.
No, I don't think they did.
We're done. We're past. We're
Scratch that.
55.
Maybe my grandfather did, but not with my grandma. Because my grandma would always be upset when he would go to another house in the village to check out someone's bees. Or
Their bee?
Bees. He was a beekeeper.
That is code. That is code. I'm sorry. That's code.
And I was like,
I gotta go check the bees.
I'm gonna go taste that honey.
It's weird. He left his beekeeper outfit home. Where is?
So what about prostitution? Is that legal or at the USSR? Or no, everything was like strict. Nothing. Don't talk. Don't look.
I think
There has to be. There has to be.
a lot of Russian women went to other countries to become, strippers or whatever.
I feel like mail order bride is
Mail order
something
brides.
I've heard forever.
Yeah, but back then there was no internet. When I was still in Russia, internet was not around, so I don't really know how that worked.
What was obtaining pornography easy, or was it hard?
Like black market.
There was. I am not aware of any pornography.
Okay, well there you go.
The answer's no.
In fact, they started Russian Playboy after I was already published in the U.S.
And you're like, oh hell no!
Yeah,
I should have been the cover model on the.
I think so.
I just moved.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it was so close to people always think, oh, you were a playmate in Russia. I'm like, no, never. I didn't
You're
even know they
Russian
had
Playboy.
a magazine. Yeah, but then they put me on the cover in 2003 or
That's
whatever.
awesome.
Yeah, so I did shoot for Russian Playboy separately. And,
That's cool.
yeah, that was fun. But
Wow.
no, growing up, I didn't know what Playboy was. I never held a magazine or anything, in fact, where you could see boobs. No, there were some films. There were some very risque Russian films with sex scenes, and there were, obviously like some American movies started coming in that were kind of like a little interesting, like 9.5 weeks, and like Wild Orchid, and
9.5 weeks was like
these were like huge in my household. I mean, we had VHS
Grandpa?
tapes.
Put the beekeeping suit down.
No, actually, that was my mom's house. But yeah, like those VHS tapes were, going around.
Yeah. Wow, VHS stores. And that particular movie was like, if you got like into someone older to rent it, it's like one of those like standing outside, like a bunch of us like would gather our money and be like, can you rent this movie for us and say it's for my dad?
So have you been back since then?
Oh yeah,
And it's totally different, right?
It's totally different now. They have everything.
Yeah.
They have Russian Playboy. They have porn. I mean,
yeah. They've caught up.
But like a lot of people, like imagine like you lived very like conservative lifestyle, and all of a sudden you have everything. I'm trying to like project some of it in my comedy. Like imagine what it was like growing up with nothing, no TV commercials, and all of a sudden it's like all of those things came, and you're like, holy shit, I want everything.
I will have all of this menu on this side and that side. Thank you.
That's exactly how it was. Like even like I remember.
Are you listening, North Korea? Take notes.
My uncle. The first McDonald's opened in Moscow in like, I don't know which year. I was 13 or 14, and my uncle took me there. We stood in a line for about 3.5 to 4 hours.
Oh my God.
Just
so crazy.
because everybody wanted McDonald's. Now there's like one on every corner. Like now nobody wants McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, but
like-
then it was like, oh my God! But it's like everything was such a big deal, And
I can't imagine how being restricted from everything and then it just coming in, you're like, this is like overload.
It was
like,
overwhelming.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God. McDonald's is disgusting.
I'm sorry, Rosie. You guys are not going to get sponsored by McDonald's.
We can bleep out Tommy. McDonald's sponsor us.
McDonald's. Like growing up, we talked about, I believe on the first episode, like growing up in New York.
All of a sudden, you sound more New York when you talk about
It's
New York.
only when I say New
There's
York
like a pizza.
or
He's
coffee.
holding a pizza.
I'm flipping off people. It doesn't matter.
No, you are.
Okay, is there an adult version of Sopranos? Because if there isn't, you should make one.
I know.
I don't think. I was in the Godfather parody.
What is it called?
Godfather
Godfather?
Triple X.
Oh, Godfather.
They don't try. It's
So
just,
funny. Godfather. No,
they don't try. Not all the
parody
time.
one.
It's-
Yeah.
They don't get clever all the time.
Godfather Triple X.
Yeah.
They couldn't come up with a better solution.
Yeah. It was just, let's just make it easy and we
Tony
put it out
Soprano, I'm gonna whack you off. Tommy Soprano, I'm gonna whack you off. You gotta do it. You gotta do it now.
there. All right. Well, I think I heard they bring back something with Sopranos. So if it becomes like kind of a spotlight kind of thing, I'm sure somebody will do it again.
What
so.
parody videos have you done?
Oh my God.
Name like 5. Because I've never watched you and I refuse to watch you because the more I get to know you and we become friends, the more I don't want to watch you.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
Tommy.
I was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I played Pee-wee Herman in the parody.
I could see that. Unfortunately.
How big was the adventure? Sorry, I had to.
Did you do the underpants?
Wait, what's the underpants?
His giant underpants, and he puts it on his head. He goes, "Look, my underpants!"
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's a classic Pee Wee Herman.
We had Large Marge in it, played by Evan Stone. We didn't have sex. But it was basically, instead of my bike being stolen, it was my sex doll. Dolly was stolen. So I went on an adventure to find my sex doll.
Oh.
And then I found out the one girl who's always had a crush on me that I kept kind of pushing off. I realized that she was the one who really loved me.
Aww.
So
That's happy ending for everyone.
Exactly. So I was also in the Austin Powers parody.
Were you?
I
Austin
played
Powers?
Austin and Dr. Evil.
I could see that as well. For
Yeah.
some
Oh,
reason.
that's awesome.
Yeah. In 2014, I was in Evil Dead. Do you know Evil Dead? Bruce Campbell, the horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in that parody called The Evil Head.
Okay.
And I ended
So
up...
clever. So clever,
I know,
Tommy.
right? So for that one, I won Best Actor in 2014 at AVN. Thank you. And then I wrote and directed the Walking Dead parody. And that one we just
OMG.
we just called it Walking Dead Triple X because when we because
You can't just add triple X at the
I
end.
know, but that's what got a lot of hits and actually for
Because
Burning,
people were looking it up.
Walking Dead.
because for BurningAngel.com, that's who it was for. That was their biggest seller. Like I think it went into like the 5th or 6th printing DVD, which is like insane now because nobody buys DVDs anymore. But it did really well. So I
Wow.
was very
You're like,
proud
"Thank
of
you
that
very
one.
much."
Even Norman Reedus acknowledged it. Just saying, Norman, what's up?
You're like,
I
I can do
love it.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I've done so many parodies. A lot of them I do for Wood Rocket, Leroy Myers. They basically, they kind of,
Are you guys gonna do a Game of Thrones?
we did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
You already
We
did?
already did.
And who did you play?
I played not Jon Snow, his brother that got killed in the Red Wedding. What was that?
Rob?
Rob, yeah. I was
I was
Rob.
thinking you were Rob Stark. I was gonna say Rob Stark.
I played Rob. I did like Hellraiser. I was
I like
in
how
a,
you're like, we already did that, Rosie.
there's so many.
Look me up online.
We did Hamilton, but Hamilton. So
Oh my
we did a
God.
whole singing, rapping. It was really good. And
Kind of want to see that.
a
I
comedian.
want to see it too, but I don't want to watch you, Tommy.
Okay,
It's
okay,
right.
okay. Let's do this. Okay, I have an idea. I'll
Watch
come
it?
over. No. I'll come over. We're gonna do the podcast,
Okay.
and you'll be blindfolded, and I'll watch it, and I'll tell you everything about it. But you wouldn't be able to see it. But I will
What
communicate
about I
to.
watch it and then when Tommy's scenes come up, Tommy's like, "It's me," and then I'll come.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Not because I don't
Yeah,
think
there
that
you
you're
go.
probably an amazing actor, Tommy, but you're my friend, and it's too weird.
Yeah, and I'm totally. You don't have to see me.
Okay.
Please, just.
You're like,
There's safe. There are safe for work trailers on YouTube. That you can see that.
Oh
so,
yeah, I'll look it up. Hamilton.
Yeah. So many Fortnite, Mario Brothers. We've done so much stupid shit. It's amazing. At times I'm like, how am I making money for doing this? But thank God I am, because I would have a different career. So
Well, you're definitely doing a very fun niche. So
I knew coming into the industry, like I did stand up, some stand up in New York, but a lot of sketch comedy I did in high school with friends, and we did that for like 11 years. So when I came into the porn industry and I was able to like kind of ad lib and on the fly and stuff, people were like, "This guy's amazing! Like he could talk, you know, like he can actually fucking speak."
he's not just a dick.
Yeah.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, he's not, he's not buffed or tan or he's not really hung, but God damn it, he can speak. So, 14 years later,
You've had a longer career than a lot of people.
Yeah,
because you can talk.
I could speak. And
They're like, no one can do this. No one can do this.
I swear to God, when I say acting has saved my career in that industry. So, like, trying to get into mainstream, it was like my biggest. I think my most successful thing was sitting in a room, sitting next to. He was in Primal Fear. What's his name? I was sitting next to him. That's like my biggest highlight. Oh my God, he played the Incredible Hulk in one of the Marvel movies.
That's fine. I forgot Jenna Jameson last week.
I forgot his name. Damn it.
I believe you.
Okay, sorry. Yes. Well, nothing happened in mainstream, but like it is weird to like all these years later and actually make a name for myself and be known, it's still like doesn't make sense to me that
When I told people we were doing the show, I had people like, "Oh my god, I know him." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
See, that's still weird to me.
That's awesome, but it was just weird for me because it was people that I didn't want to think about in a sexual. Obviously everyone has sex and everyone watches porn and everyone, but it just weirded me out. I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's great to know, like, I mean, I definitely appreciate the industry and all that it's done to me, but like, would I have made it in mainstream if I never tried this? I don't know. Maybe, probably, maybe not. I don't know. But the fact that I've like made a career and like I'm on this like top whatever 10 people is like it's like, and for what I do, it's like, you're one of the best sex guys in the world. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it still doesn't make sense to me that people from all over the world are like Instagramming me or Twittering like, oh my God, I love your work and everything you do. And it's like, thank you.
Aw.
Wow. I don't know how or why, because I always kept that kind of comedy like character, and like I could do drama and stuff, but I'm mostly known for being a comedian during sex. So I don't know how many people could like say that and be proud. And
You're the Charlie Chaplin.
Yes, I've been called the Jackie Chan, the Martin Short.
Oh my God, I need to watch all of that. I'm binging this weekend. If my husband's watching, honey, we're going to be busy.
Honey, we're going to be watching. And he's like, what is this, honey?
Research. Do a lot of research.
For
comedy. For comedic purposes.
I think the one thing that I appreciate a lot, and a lot of fans do, because a lot of guys are like, when I see you, I don't think of you. I don't see a porn star. I see like a normal guy, like who got into this business and is doing well. So it's like the Rudy, like underdog, you know, like hold me up on your shoulders. Like, he did it. We don't know how, but he did it. It's
You're
so
like
ridiculous.
Humanizing porn.
Yeah, because I'm making it like
I'm just an average guy.
yeah, I'm just average.
If
It's
I
all
could do it, you
over.
could do it.
That's the thing, and that's why so many people are like, you give me confidence. Like, I didn't think I usually shut the light off, but like, you know,
You
I watch your
inspire
porn.
me.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
You know what's funny to me? Like how people say, oh, like we read Playboy for the articles. There's probably a big group of dudes out there who just watch it for the funny,
Yeah.
for the comedy.
Yeah.
Like the girlfriend is happy and it's fucking hilarious.
Like to get a message like, I never laughed so hard while I was jerking off.
Thanks.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
All right.
I didn't need to hear that, but I'll take the compliment. I know how to take the compliment.
Yeah. Anytime. It's really, I mean, when you're exposing your body and being like, I am comfortable with this, it is it's like there's something about it that's, I feel like I got over on a lot of people, because so many people are shy and they've just, in their head, they've been taught or raised to be like, oh, being naked is wrong, or like, I'm married to you, but I still don't want you to see me naked, and that sucks.
Or turn the lights off.
No,
or don't
that's
look at
weird.
me.
Yeah. It's
and-
not. It's like, it means you don't like yourself, and that's where it should start. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it really should. If anything, like, I shouldn't be teaching anybody a lot of things. But if anything, if you see my porn, you're like, I like that guy because he has confidence. Like, just love your body. Just be happy with what you have and make the best of it.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons actually that it's so important for our society to be more nude. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Korean spa.
Oh,
So
my
the-
favorite.
So the Korean spa, Tommy, is like
Amazing.
It's an Asian spa.
It's heaven on earth.
And it's awesome, but there's all these different rooms where you can, like, you know, steam yourself and do whatever. It's a spa, but it's a fully nude spa. So a lot of spas are you're in a bathrobe or whatever, but this is like a full nude spa, and it has
everyone.
For everyone. Well, they have.
Women and men are separate.
They
okay.
have some that are women only, and then they have some that are co-ed.
Oh, really?
They do.
never
They
been
have
co-ed.
one called Century. You can take your hubby.
Oh, yeah. I've been to Century.
Yeah. So so they're co-ed, but the full nude areas are
Separate. And then you can meet upstairs.
You can meet upstairs in a bathroom.
Yeah.
But what I got from it was just every time I go, I'm not like ogling the other women, but just seeing all the different body types and all the different body shapes, and seeing that everyone has such a different body. And I'm sure you see this all the time with pornography, is just that to be comfortable with who you are. And I think showing that and showing different shapes and showing different sizes and showing Tommy Pistol instead of the Adonis all the time.
Yeah.
You're the Adonis in your own way. And show, we're all so different, and that is a good thing. And so I think that the censorship of nudity is not good for our society, because it makes women ashamed of their bodies and upset. And if you're only showing, Kim Kardashian and that's it, it's like women are going to feel insecure. And the Korean spot, I love it because I see all types of women. They're all nude, and I'm like, oh, my weird like mole isn't that bad, or like my weird whatever like is like beautiful, and being nude. I mean, one of the times that I became most comfortable in my body was being nude with some girlfriends in high school, and I had a mole that I was embarrassed about. One of my friends goes, I think that mole is so adorable. And so that is the stuff that we need to, because I was ashamed of it and embarrassed. And so I think showing more nudity and showing different body types is great, and we need more of that. And we need to, America, why are you so stigmatizing? Like, we need to be more open.
It's really important. I mean, everything that's advertised why we're buying something is because some perfect fucking person was like, yeah, of course it looks good on me because I have zero body fat. Duh. It doesn't make fucking sense. There was one guy in our industry, and he had big balls. And I mean, he had to like, when he did like an up and over, he had to like pull his balls up because they were blocking.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
We shouldn't laugh at this. We're like, we should accept people's bodies.
How big were they?
They were so big.
And we had to move them for the shot.
Yeah, but he ended up getting a surgery to shrink his balls, which gave him a scar. And then people were like, we can't shoot you because you got a scar on your taint, basically.
He had balls and
my crotch was just thinking about that,
to
even
me,
though I don't have
thought
anything
that
out
was
there.
horrible.
That's
horrible.
And whenever a girl comes in and new to the industry, the first thing, doesn't her size, whether she has A cup, B or something, we always hear her agents like, you should get big boobs. And everybody says, don't. Do not get boobs. Your boobs are perfect.
No, don't do it.
And some do. And some don't.
And
but
also some guys like small everyone likes different things.
Yeah. I understand like when you're in it for like a certain amount of years and it's like, well, I want to reinvent myself.
Like if you had a baby or whatever,
and things are
right?
Or I want to get a tattoo or something. Like a lot of agents really control a lot of how the girls see themselves.
Excuse me, did you say agents or Asians?
Agents. Just want to make it clear.
No, you had New York accent. I couldn't tell.
But it's sad to see that, and
because that homogenizes it.
Exactly, and then it gives them a complex, and then it's like, well, if I'm going to get more work, then I have to do this. And this is somebody who probably started recently, and they don't have that money. So if they're getting their head, it's like, well, I have to rush to do this because my agent says, just to make sure, that I need, well, if I get these, I'll get more work. That sucks because a lot of the times they're rushing into it and not getting a great job. And then once that's done, it's kind of like...
Can't take it out. Put it
you
back.
can't hide it.
It's not going to look good.
It's not going to look good.
It really sucks. And it's sad. Like I love my industry, but there's a lot of sides to it that are really wrong.
I think in Hollywood too, people, boob jobs and other surgeries and other things.
All the face stuff that's going on. I mean, all the Instagram models and this...
I know.
I mean, it blows my mind because like all the girls injecting their lips since the age of 25. It's like there's nothing wrong with your lips at 25.
Exactly.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
Like 41. I never had anything done to my lips, and I don't think I'm going to, because that's what's going to make
Please
me
don't.
look
I call
older.
it duck
you know?
lips. It does make you look older.
It's like
It looks like duck lips.
It doesn't match. It's just like it's like normal, and then like, and you're like, wait.
They look like vagina lips.
Yeah.
They when they're little,
or
like,
sometimes it looks like someone's punched them in the mouth or something.
yeah, in between somewhere. Oh,
Something
yeah.
bad.
And then it's weird, like
Something not good.
Okay, so you don't want to be sexually harassed, but you want to like wear a vagina on your face at any given moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a joke there, maybe not, but I can't. Like,
Yeah.
The face thing, getting older, it sucks because I'm sure a lot of women in mainstream, they get that work done because they're like, well, that's how I'm going to keep work, because nobody wants to see wrinkles, which
you
is
know
fucking
what?
stupid.
No.
You know what they do though? I mean, I think so. What I am not against plastic surgery. I haven't had anything done, but I'm not against it. What I'm against is the extreme where you start morphing yourself into a different person. I think that's a disorder, and it should. But what I haven't had anything done yet, but I'm not going to bash
She's
it.
perfect.
I'm not going to bash it because I am in my 30s, and who knows what happens in 10 years.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
I'm not going to bash it, but I do think that there is there's a way to naturally enhance,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
a way to make yourself look like a clown.
Yeah, well, I've had injections. I've had Botox, obviously, but again, like I look
Don't
like
say
a
obviously.
person. You know?
Yeah.
No, I mean, but, like that was not my goal to not have like my face. Not
You can
move.
still move.
or else, like,
Are you crying? I can't tell.
I'm just from Russia. I have no expressions.
Maybe.
I'm very funny.
So I saw I saw a billboard of Dolly Parton. I think she's gorgeous. I
actually
remember
love Dolly Parton.
9 to 5, like Little Whorehouse in Texas. Like I
love her.
grew up watching those
She's
movies.
gone a little too much though.
Yes.
too much.
And when I saw the billboard, I was like, that is not who I remember.
Yes. No.
It's it looks
too
like
much.
a different
It's closer
person.
to Angelina or whatever.
Angelique.
Angeline, with the pink Corvette or whatever. You know who that
Oh,
is?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
So for
That's
those
us,
of you who not or listening outside of Los Angeles, Angeline or Angelique, whatever her name is a local celebrity who looks like a Barbie doll.
But at the age of 19. And she got everything done, and her husband or boyfriend was sponsoring those billboards around Los Angeles.
She
Yeah.
drives a pink Corvette, hot pink
People
Corvette.
knew who she was.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so sad because I've had so much fun. We need to wrap up.
Oh, no.
Tommy, how can people find you and follow you and support you?
You can follow me on Instagram at official_pistol_page. Because if you say your real porn name on Instagram, they kind of delete you. Yeah.
That's why I couldn't find you.
I try to hide it.
Prudes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
So you can find me on Instagram there. On Twitter, it's at Tommy Pistol. And I started a YouTube page where I'll be posting wacky skits and
Awesome.
I love it.
whatever happens on set and stuff like that.
Hilarious. It's pretty much Irina Voronina all throughout. I just started a Facebook subscription thing where people can subscribe to my cooking show.
And she does everything: cooking,
that
modeling,
I
comedy.
do fully clothes
Just
every
fucking
week.
accept it. She's talented. Just leave it at that.
But I'm obsessed sometimes with like balls and meatballs and things, and it's funny.
Okay.
I'm just balls.
Well, you've had me cracking up for an hour, so I'm sure it's great. Guys, I am on Twitter at Funny Rosie, at Instagram Out of the Box Rosie. This has been Dirty Change with Rosie and Tommy. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.